Their new crusade has begun. The new legion? What is this? And what role is Sire Denathrius about to play in all this? Oh, I'm excited to see this. Remember, the legion, or the army that was the legion, still exists. You know, they're still out there. Those demons are still out there. They are just leaderless, waiting for someone to take the throne. Is it going to be Sire Denathrius? Let's find out.
The Shadowhold is once again full of demons. Felwood's corruption grows, the Cenarian Circle are helpless in the face of a new threat to the wilds, one that may spill out to the rest of Kalimdor, one that heralds the return of the Burning Legion. That's kind of huge. We've got new demon content coming. It's in 10.1.5 and it gets deeper in 10.1.7. Now, we knew this day would come. Sargeras is gone, but that doesn't mean the demons are gone forever too.
Yeah, as I
said,
the
whole infrastructure of the Legion is out there, but it's got no
what the
bot.
hell? The video is glitching there. That's not me. That's this video. That's weird.
Disorder has then gone full chaos, and now warlords are rising to take control. Who are these warlords? Well, they're powerful demons, rulers of Legion worlds, pit lords, and Eridar. Archimonde could even be out there still. But it seems the key among them are the Dreadlords, aka the Nathrezim. They're on Azeroth, slurping up warlock souls and creeping around Kalimdor. But the bottom line...
if you're wondering what he means by slurping up warlock souls, there is a quest line where, you know, the warlocks unlock their new pets and stuff in the patch, and... supposedly there's dreadlords there slurping up warlock souls.
Is of course they're working for Denathrius. We're created by him.
Can't be trapped in Remornia,
loyal
so
to
we
him.
think,
so
maybe.
If they are making a play, that points squarely to Sire Denathrius setting himself up, perhaps even to be the new Lord of the Burning Legion. And if he's going to take on that role, he's absolutely going to need the help of today's sponsor. Squarespace.com/Bellular Gaming, who are shipping amazing features these days. They've got two new features which combo perfectly together, right? The first one's called Blueprint, and it essentially makes a custom template for you. So rather than picking a full template, which is great, they're all award-winning, lovely templates, but what this does is it gives you a guided experience through all the core sections of a site you may want, and then, like what you like best, from there, you can easily add more pages to it, select a color palette from their fantastic presets, get your font right, puts all that together, and bam, you have your site built. And then all you need to do is add content. And that's where their next launch comes in. It's called Fluid Engine. Now, web dev can be kind of hard, right? And it often means you can't lay out your website just the way that it is in your brain, right? Maybe if you're used to Photoshop or something. What's awesome with Fluid Engine is, well, I mean, look for yourself. You can see me editing our site here. And once I upgraded the content block to Fluid Engine, I can easily lay out the elements with so much more flexibility than I had before, right?
I didn't know you couldn't do this before.
It is an absolutely killer feature. And when you pair that with Blueprint, it just is an unparalleled experience in terms of your customization.
Where's
and
my
ease
Squarespace sponsorship?
And all of that with features like your emailing list, e-commerce, memberships, all that. So get building today for free with my link down below and use code Bellular Gaming to get 10% off an annual plan when you're ready to send it live. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring, and let's go.
Return of the Dreadlords.
Okay, before we get into all the unraveling Dreadlord mysteries, I'm going to hit you with something solid, something that shows the Crusader actually returning. This is a crazy item that is discovered in data mining called the Felsteel Prayer Rod, and it just reads like this. His might is our faith, his word is our might, his will is the rebirth of the Burning Crusade. So yes.
Oh, shit. Who is he? Who is the rebirther?
Someone is kicking the Legion back into action. That's kind of bad news for us. Who is it talking about? We do not know. You can actually check out a whole video I did recently on why it may even be Archimonde. But think for a second.
So if you guys remember, there's different timeline Archimondes now, or different multiverse Archimondes. So it could be one of them.
We've not heard a peep from Archimonde. Not yet, anyways. No, all of this new Legion lore is swirling around the return of the Dreadlords because they've been appearing in the game very recently.
Yeah.
They've been conniving their way through the setting since Warcraft 3, of course, though. They're behind some of the largest events in the game, like driving the Scarlet Crusade mad, bringing Ner'zhul to Azeroth, and possibly stuff as big as blackpilling Sargeras to make him go all weird and kick off the Burning Crusade. So why is all this relevant again? Well, I've got 3 points for you. First, demons are...
Almost every major event has had a Dreadlord involvement. That is for sure.
Obviously still around. Second, the Azarath timeline that we go to in Time Rifts shows us that there is
Don't forget, he didn't even mention Arthas Menethil, the whole, his whole track into Northrend and everything. Dreadlord influenced, for sure.
Unique legion in every timeline, implying that big-name demons from our timeline, like Archimonde, who died on the AU Draenor, are actually still alive and kicking in our timeline.
Yep.
Well, maybe in the Twisting Nether regenerating, but certainly not dead and gone. Third, and where it becomes super relevant, is that the Dreadlords are back. In 10.15, Lord Banehollow has a scheme to steal the souls of aspiring warlocks in the Dark Moon Island. But the real stuff kicks off in 10.17. Helnerath, Lord of Zoroth, the Legion world that warlocks steal their dreadsteeds from, will make an appearance. Banehollow and Helnerath are actually then long-standing rivals. But ultimately, they both do work for Sire Denathrius, so what the hell's going on here? Well, how about we dig into their rivalry to find out?
The true master.
The Shadow Council was the bit of the old horde that was directly linked to the Burning Legion, right? It's got all these mortal warlocks or demon worshippers, and of course, it was started by Gul'dan, and it was used to corrupt the orcs. But what happened to that timeline is the Doomhammer caught on to all...
I don't remember this cinematic. It looks pretty good, though.
These schemes, and he tried to have the lot of them killed. The remaining members then went to ground. They hid in Auchindoun, Outland, and Shadowhold Felwood.
Right.
The Council's key agent in the Shadowhold was Lord Banehollow, who mostly hung around causing some trouble for the Night Elves. Now, during the Warlock class quest, Warlocks actually do some work for Banehollow, because another Dreadlord, Helnerath, had spies in Shadowhold. Banehollow needed rid of them. In return then, Banehollow gave the Warlock knowledge and ingredients used to summon Helnerath to Dire Maul from Zoroth to steal one of his horses.
What the hell? So are these Dreadlords dreadlording each other? Is that what's going on? They're dropping spies on each other and trying to steal from each other? A Dreadlord, man... Wait 2 seconds and a Dreadlord will betray you. These guys can't be trusted ever. That's not news, but I can't believe they're doing it to each other. Oh, jeez.
Content was actually pretty damn awesome, wasn't it? Now, the thing about Helnerath...
This is all part of that Warlock quest
he's
line.
A really important guy. He is the Lord of a Legion world, Zoroth. That's way more important than Banehollow. And he was embarrassed by some random warlock that was, duping him into appearing in Dire Maul and getting defeated. That's so silly. Helnerath, then, showing up in a patch, and the patch after Banehollow shows up, that means that their rivalry is still on and that it's about to take the next step. Now, there's 3 options for where Helnerath will show up in patch 10.1.7. First, the Minari Eridar customizations for the Draenei. There is some demon questing content related to that, so perhaps he could appear there.
Yeah, if you're wondering what this was data mined. This is a skybox. Probably has to do with the Eridar questline. That's what I was speculating when we first saw this come up. That there are Legion ships in the skybox. So this is a skybox with Legion ships. We're not sure where it's going to come from yet.
Second is the Forsaken Heritage quest chain, where all we know right now is it does include an old enemy of the Forsaken. And if you go back to the very foundation of that race, they were forged in the fires of the war in Lordaeron between the post-Scourge factions, Sylvanas and the Dreadlords. But Helnerath didn't have anything to do with that, so maybe not. Finally, then, there's the Night Elf Heritage quest chain. Now, this is interesting because a spell has been data mined with the effect Helnerath siphons energy from the Twisting Nether, making him impervious to most weapons.
Oh, shit.
Now, the weapons that he's not immune to happen to be blessed by Elune. So it could be a flashback to the Second Legion invasion, perhaps another view of the Twilight of the Gods mission from Warcraft 3. But like with the human and orc heritage questlines, Blizzard will probably use this as an opportunity to show us what's happening to the Night Elves next, right?
That's a live look at the hardcore classic WoW servers, day 1. Live look in, boys. This is what it's going to look like.
As an opportunity to show us what's happening to the Night Elves next, right? So what's going on then for them? Well, if you take a look at Northern Kalimdor, Darkshore is barren of life, Ashenvale is still all wrecked, Teldrassil's gone. Consider the story of Helnerath and Banehollow, though, and you obviously next think of Felwood. Perhaps this could be Helnerath slapping back against Banehollow because of all of that stuff in the Shadowhold, right? He's finally trying to get his rival, and maybe that explains to us why Banehollow actually showed up on Dark Moon Island, and why he was so desperate for power that he was going around trying to dupe a few random warlocks. Perhaps he was already kicked out of his old base. But it gets more interesting. Here's another thing we know. Helnorath is followed by Helnorathian demons, right? His direct followers, which does, well, prove that he's got a posse, right? He has got a whole bunch of demons behind him. Now, do you remember the first time that you went to Shadowhold in Felwood? It was a really cool spot.
Yep.
All the twisted barrow dens filled with Forsaken and Orc warlocks, demons, and a Dreadlord right at the end. It felt like an open world dungeon, and all the way back in vanilla, you kind of had to go in there
Good
with
days.
the team, or else you just get swarmed and killed. And of course, you can immediately imagine it, full of Helnorathian demons, bringing back the cool demon fighting vibe straight from Classic to now. So now you know about the two Dreadlords who are back, why they hate each other, and where that rivalry may go next. But it doesn't explain the bigger question. What does all of this feed into? Are they rogue agents just doing what they want with what's left of the Legion? Or is there some form of long game that they're all working to?
Looking after number one.
Right back at the dawn of everything, the...
No. No. Oh, no. Why is he showing a clip of Orbos? Why is the Sky Dildo returning? I don't want to see this. I don't want to be part of this. I don't want anything to do with this. I'll give him a chance. Let me see what he's going to say.
Gods of the Shadowlands, the Eternal Ones, had a big disagreement. Basically, one thought that the whole system of judging souls and all of that was very unjust. And worse, he also thought the whole thing was doomed to fail. He wanted to rebuild things the way that he thought was best. But his ambitions were bigger. He wanted to change the whole universe. And that is where his one ally came in, Sire Denathrius. Denathrius posed as the dutiful Lord of Repentance.
I would not trust Sire Denathrius as an ally. I think we've learned that one.
In the Shadowlands, but was actually working a scheme to destabilize the whole cosmos.
There you go.
He created various races
can't
to
trust
run
him.
Revendreth, Dredgers and Stoneborn and all that stuff. But he made another race called the Nathrazim, which in their own language translates to the unseen guests. They were designed as the ultimate spies. They're able to take magic into themselves as if they were native to it. That's why, of course, you see both light and fel Dreadlords in the game. They're able to slurp in that energy.
This guy,
And that means
I forget what his name is. He is currently still stationed on the Exodar, or not the Exodar, Eridar, whatever the fuck that ship is called. He's a Dreadlord in the light. A light-forged Dreadlord. This guy's playing us. I don't trust him. Not even for a second.
they can infiltrate anywhere in the universe, be it another planet or another strange cosmic realm. Now, Denathrius immediately got them working on the whole big master plan to turn everyone in the cosmos against each other, right? To just sow discord and destruction and chaos so that the whole of creation would be ripe for the taking. Now, these Dreadlords were fairly successful, but they stepped too far against the light. And the light retaliated and scorched Revendreth. That's why the Ember Ward exists. That whole big, like, just, sun-blasted, crazy place. Now, the Stone Right, who was one of Denathrius' key servants, led a rebellion demanding that Denathrazim be banished from Revendreth, because ultimately, all of these Dreadlord shenanigans, these Nathrazim shenanigans, they are what led to the Light's wrath, and it obviously stung. And this is where things get into gear for the Legion, because these Nathrazim...
let's be honest, in all of Shadowlands, the best storyline and lore came out of Revendreth, and was related to Sire Denathrius. That was like the peak of lore in Shadowlands, and then after that, it went straight to the shitter.
Are actually banished. They went to a world, they ended up calling it Nathrazah. And it was around this time that Sargeras found the first Void world that he would come across. But there were Nathrazim there, and those Nathrazim were kind of in the whole thing, right? And they basically kind of whispered in his ear how the Void would win, how there's no hope.
That's right.
And Sargeras already was having, mixed feelings and doubts. So eventually then Sargeras loses his marbles and kicks off the whole Burning Crusade and tries to wipe out all of the cosmos, because the Void can't take it if it's already destroyed. So while the Nathrazim were agents of the Legion and were key to Sargeras' plans, ultimately they served Denathrius. And everything from that point was just bent on getting to Azeroth. So, 2 failed Legion invasions later, and the Nathrazim bring a plan to kill Jaden. This orc, Ner'zhul, who had worked for them in the past, but he failed to deliver Azeroth, but he could still be useful. So they put the Helm of Domination on him, they gave him a Mournblade straight from the Forges of Torghast, they used the power of death to weaken the defenders of Azeroth, and to try to take her for the Legion. This is the Lich King plan. And of course, this plan went very awry. Ner'zhul rebelled against the Legion, and Arthas was very resistant to being controlled by the jailer. And in the end, a load of dreadlords like Banehollow, Varimathras, Deathrock, Mal'Ganis, who, personally corrupted Azeroth.
I wonder, why have we not seen a Death Knight Dreadlord? I mean, maybe you can't raise a Dreadlord because they go to the Twisting Nether as well, so maybe that's why. Maybe I just answered my own question. But that would be so badass.
Were in fact left on Azeroth. Were they cut loose? Were they trapped in Azeroth? Or were they still working for that long game?
I hate chat right now.
We cut forward to the Shadowlands and we go to Denathrius' castle. We take him down there and we trap him in a sword called Remornia.
Yeah, that's where we left him.
Shortly after, a bunch of Dreadlords show up and they reveal their true colors, that they've been loyal to Denathrius the whole time. They steal his sword that he's imprisoned in, and they just...
There you go. That's where he is. He's with the Dreadlords. Of course, they took Remornia back. We forgot about that.
Disappear into the cosmos. Shadowlands hammered in the fact to us that the Dreadlords, every single one of them, were loyal to Denathrius the whole time. And that brings me back to today's events. Banehollow is back doing low-key stuff on the Dark Moon Island, but now we see Hel'Narath setting himself up perhaps as some sort of post-Sargeras warlord, maybe ruling from the world of Zoroth, probably operating out of the Shadowhold in Azeroth, something like that. After all, one thing should be clear then. If Dreadlords are pulling the Legion's strings, Denathrius is pulling their strings. And with that, we can take a guess at where the story will go.
That feeling of dread.
This is what I think the future will look like. The Void comes, we maybe explore the other side of Azeroth, some crazy stuff happens,
Pirate
maybe
expansion.
some Titans return.
Guaranteed pirate expansion. That's right, boys. Create your ships. We're going to ship ride on the new ocean with no loading screens. Brand new water animations. Ship riding over to the other side of Azeroth.
Maybe some Titans return. Who knows? Maybe Iridicron's waiting for them, maybe he's not. That's the very immediate stuff. But what about the grand scale arc that's maybe building in the background? That's where Blizzard are having fun with, cosmic forces, but not necessarily in a bad way. Stuff that says the decay magic that we've seen in the new Gnolls in this expansion. Of course, the stuff that made Galakron such a hungry boy. Life through the World Tree, reintroducing forces that we thought were defeated, like the Fel. Soon, we'll maybe even have the Light work its way back into the game, and then we'll suddenly be set.
Why is chat so Shadowlands toxic today? Why? Can I get an answer? What is up with you guys? What's going on? Other side of Azeroth is just an Oribos revamped. Why would you do that to me? You know how sad I built this entire ship and I'd go to, and that's what I find? I'd fall into a chronic depression. Now, what he's saying here is true. I think it's true. It's important. I do think Sire Denathrius is back at leading the Dreadlords, potentially the Legion now. That sounds badass. And we're going to get played. We're going to get played.
Saturated with loads of different, powerful, dangerous people all over the place, which, of course, is all stuff we can kill in an expansion. Thinking about future content, then, we've got the obvious stuff with the Titans being a little bit more sus. We've got the obvious old god-related stuff, like why is Xal'atath in that portal? When you think about the Light, we, of course, have got Yrel and all of her people across the other side.
She's fucking lost her mind.
But then when you think about the demons, when you think about Fel and Chaos, well, I think it'll have to be reworked into the mix at some point. That would make a lot of sense because you still have characters like potentially Archimonde, but certainly Sargeras and Illidan. Blizzard will obviously want to do things with those characters again. And I think that is quite obviously where all of this, where characters like Denathrius will come in. Maybe not sympathetic, but certainly villains will understand. Maybe we'll have to work with them in case something even worse than Legion comes, or maybe if some Void Lords come along and we actually see the thing that Sargeras was scared of that made him do the whole Burning Crusade thing. But all that stuff is way down the line. Right now, the Legion seem to be back. While, yes, all of their pawns and their chess pieces got knocked off the board whenever we defeated them, somebody is slowly putting a few pieces back on the board, and it looks like Denathrius is the guy who can do that. Certainly, he is the one who will benefit, and I think that will lead to some real good content in the future.
Sire Daddy.
Demons are a pretty cool villain. I've always liked Warcraft demons. I've always thought the Dreadlords are some of the more interesting and fun demonic enemies, right?
Agreed.
And Denathrius was one of the few bits of the Shadowlands expansion that people actually liked. And certainly seeing a Denathrius who is a lot more mask off, not playing games, well, playing new games, but, you know, not immediately trying to dupe us when he's out in the open as a Lord of the Burning Legion. I actually think he would make for a really damn good villain in that context.
Yeah, I agree.
So there you have it today. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like to support our team, you can check out our sponsor down below. And with that said, I'll see you next time.
There you go. Black Temple Sire Denathrius raid confirmed. Confirmed. It's going to happen, boys. I would love to see Sire make a return, and a return as the leader of the Burning Legion. Now that sounds badass.